Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. My name is SEBALEX and welcome to this video. Today I want to talk about what animal rights activists and vegan activists should not do when it comes to their advocacy. Now, I in the past have made similar mistakes, which is what made me think, well, if I've done this, I would have really appreciated if I had learned about it earlier so that I would have changed it earlier and become a better activist for the animals. So today we're going to be talking about the three main points that I want to share with you, and I'm really looking forward to hear your feedback. Now you might be wondering why I have this kill counter running, but stay until the end of the video to find out why I'm using it. So the first thing I want to talk about is talking about veganism as a compassion or a love issue. I've done this myself a few years ago when I used to write on Facebook about veganism. I used to say we have to make our circle of compassion bigger and include all animals in our compassionate decisions and have love towards them, etc., etc. But if you actually think about it, veganism is not about compassion. Veganism is not about loving animals. Veganism is about justice for animals. And you don't have to love someone, you don't have to have compassion towards someone in order not to kill them or exploit them or discriminate against them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you shouldn't have compassion or you shouldn't love animals, but when you portray it as a compassion or love-based theory or philosophy, then people who do not identify with that certain love for certain animals can actually get away with their arguments as to why they look at animals the way they do. So when I say this, obviously I'm also talking about claiming that all animals are our friends. They're not really our friends. Now, again, I used to say friends and not food, but if you really think about it, we can't make this decision for other animals. Other animals are not here to be our friends. It's nice when we have friends as other animals, such as dogs and even some animals that are farmed, like cows and sheep and chicken. But if you're protecting animals, it doesn't necessarily make these animals your friends. And we should also not plant this seed in people's minds that animals are here to offer us some kind of friendship, because let's face it, they're not. And this is really interesting because there's a lot of slogans that go around, such as friends not food, as I mentioned, or for example, when we say love them, don't eat them. You don't have to love them in order not to eat them. Now, I'll give you an example why I believe this is the better way to approach it. If you're talking about a certain human rights-based issue and someone says, well, I don't really particularly have any love or compassion towards humans, does that then mean that this person can have a green card into discriminating and acting in a specific way towards this certain minority of humans? Of course not, because the moral value and the moral consideration that we should have towards other humans is not based on the fact of whether or not we like them or we love them or we have compassion towards them. I repeat, if you do, that's really great. I do wish that we all live in a world with more compassion. But when we're talking about animal rights, we have to make sure that people realize that this is a rights-based issue. This is about animals having their rights violated, animals having their lives taken away from them, animals being separated from their families, animals being constantly exploited and discriminated against just because of the way we have done things since ages, or just because of the way they look. And when you minimize all of this strong philosophical issue of animal rights into loving them instead of killing them, you kind of take away from what the movement is actually about, which is justice for animals. This is also why we find a lot of farmers who say, well, I love my animals, and we say, well, how weird that you love them and you kill them at the same time. But we have to ask ourselves, why are farmers talking about loving their animals if they're gonna end up killing them anyway? That's because the subject is changing from a justice issue, whether or not something is right or wrong, to whether or not we love animals or whether or not farmers love their animals. So let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you've made the same mistake as I have in the past and talked about compassion and love, etc., instead of talking about justice and animal rights in general. The second thing I want to talk about is, again, something I've done in the past. Now, for this video, I've chosen things that I've done in the past because I would like to share the fact that we can all do these mistakes, but also learn and change and stop doing them. So the second thing I want to talk about is body shaming when it comes to hunters specifically. So I myself have shared a meme that says, if your penis is too small, try hunting. And at the time, I just thought, like, it's a funny thing, you're making fun of hunters, you're claiming their penis is too small. But at the same time, how does that in any way justify your actually horrible act of body shaming? If someone is not a hunter, if someone is a vegan activist and does actually have a small penis, how would they feel when they see other animal rights activists sharing a meme claiming that hunters have small penises and laughing at them? And this is something that we do in society in general. There's many ways that we body shame, of course, but this is one thing that I actually keep on seeing many times when it comes to online activism and sharing memes or commenting back and forth. And I was just talking about it with a friend because I saw them using it and I said, hey, I used to use the same meme, but if you think about it, this is actually not the right way of spreading the message, and it actually includes body shaming towards anyone who has that case. And we have to keep in mind that that's not something people can do anything about. It's not like they have chosen the size of their penis or they have any control on it. They're just born with it. So if you want to raise awareness about animal rights and talk against hunting, don't use body shaming memes in any way. And also, this obviously gets extended to other types of body shaming when we talk about just people's weight in general and things like that. You know, whether it's men or women, body shaming is wrong and it should never be used as an advocacy tool. There are so many right ways to raise awareness about animal rights, and there's so many ethical ways that do not include shaming others or discriminating towards others. And I really want to encourage you all to take that direction from now on. So the last point I want to talk about is why I'm sharing this number. The point I want to make is when we say 65 or 70 billion land animals are killed every single year when we're talking about animal rights. And my question is, what about marine animals? Are we so speciesist that we completely ignore the lives of marine animals when we are raising awareness about speciesism? Why do we not talk about the real number that represents all animals, including marine life, and that is 2.7 trillion animals? Now, I know this number very difficult to communicate with others, but if you actually calculate, that's around 80,000 animals per second that we are killing. And if we want to talk about the fact that all animal lives matter and we should actually fight for animal rights and stop killing animals for our benefit when we have the option not to, and it is scientifically proven that we can be just as healthy or healthier living on a plant-based diet, then why don't we talk about all animals? Why are we completely ignoring one group of animals that are actually the majority of the animals that are being killed? And this is proof, in my opinion, that even as vegans, we are still recovering speciesists. We're not completely over our speciesism when we completely ignore other animals that are living in the sea instead of land. So if you think about it, a lot of people, when we're talking to them, actually even say things like fish aren't animals, or I continue eating fish even though I stopped eating other animals. So there is obviously a huge cultural issue when it comes to giving the value that marine life deserves and giving actual moral consideration towards marine life. And when we as animal rights advocates completely ignore the exploitation, suffering and death of marine life, what does that say about us? What does that say about our movement? And what does it say about the speciesism and discrimination that we hold towards marine life? It's obviously very inconsistent with the animal rights message, and I want to really beg you all to stop using the term 65 billion land animals or 70 billion land animals when talking about what humans are doing to animals, and include all victims. And as long as you take that one group of animals and not mention their suffering, you actually are concluding that they are not worthy of our moral consideration. And now you see why I shared these numbers. I want you to keep in mind that this is happening day in, day out, and obviously use it as a motivation for you to never stop talking about animal rights and always raise awareness about what's happening to other animals. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think I should address in the next videos when it comes to this topic, because I do want to share more things that I have learned myself throughout my activism journey. I'm always open to learning more and bettering my advocacy for the sake of all animals. So let me know what you think, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you've done any mistakes that you've changed as well throughout your journey, share those as well. I'm really interested to reading your experience and your growth as an activist as well. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. The amazing news that I'm going to be sharing with you soon is still on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to hear about it. Check out the other videos. And if you want to support my work, please check out my website, sebalex.org, and you can get more information about it. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.